Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. It's Saturday morning. It is Multifamily Unplugged. Hey, I'm glad that you're here today. And if you are new to the show, welcome. If you've been here before, go stick a cup of coffee in somebody's hand and get them here. This morning, we are in for a ride. So, as I usually say, buckle up. It's time to get down into some information about some new business ventures. So, we're going to talk about a couple of different things when it comes to multifamily today. But before that, let's talk about your intentions. What are you intentional about today? How about intentional about this week or finishing out the year? What does it look like you're going to do? Have you started working on your goals and setting up your business plan for next year? You know, if that is a part of the process and what you're working on right now, you can go download my 2023 goal setting and business planning guide. It's at the website. We'll make sure that the link is in the comments here, that you'll be able to go download that and get a copy of it. But it'll give you a little bit of guidance around setting some goals and having your dreams and how we bring those to maturity and building a plan around that. And it's about mindset, right? Mindset leads into intentionality. What are you being intentional about? How are you thinking about your day? What are you setting up for yourself for success? Well, this morning, let's get talking about our guest. This morning, I have the honor of having a friend of mine on that I've been after him for a while to get on the show, hasn't want to come on, finally ready. But Kurt Koff from New Jersey has a company called CRE MLS, so Commercial Real Estate MLS. Kurt's in the process of building an animal that I really am excited about watching it develop and grow. So let's bring him on and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Kurt, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good. Very good.
Well, been trying to get you here for a while. I'm glad you finally showed up.
Yeah. It's not easy.
I started to think, oh, I'm sick and can't do this. And I don't want to just, not wanting to be here. But I'm glad that you're here this morning.
No, I definitely wanted to be here. And I respect you and I like your stuff and what you're doing. And, just life seemed to always get in the way. I had a major toothache and root canal. And so, that was a tough one.
I always use that line. I'd rather have a root canal than do this right now. So
no, you wouldn't.
Hey, Kurt. So one question I always start my show with is, I ask my guests, and I always say I'm going to write a book on this, but in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
One word is creative. And that could mean different things, personally and professionally. Creative, personally is to, it could be as simple as going for a walk and, enjoying the scenery, along the bay, the birds, the ducks, the wind, and finding beauty in everything. Sometimes you have to be creative. And Tony Robbins always used to say, I took his course when it first came out, which was a long time ago, which said, set yourself up to win in your mind. And you were talking about mindset before. And that is the key. It all starts in your mind. But negativity is like a cancer. And if you feed it, it's that wolf thing, the two wolves. Which one are you going to feed?
Right.
And so I'm going to feed with creativity, positivity, love, beauty. If I keep all those things at the top of the page, when I go into my business, I'm going to take that which I am in my personal life, and positive things are going to start showing up on the paper. I'm going to do my idea writing. I do a lot of free form writing, and I'll just start writing, and I'll just start creating. And you've seen, like, all the ads that I'm making and everything. And that's all from free forming for the past 30 years, studying advertising since I was 18, and writing. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, for sure. So you do all your own ads and all your own social media designs and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I studied copywriting since I was 18. I bought a couple books, and I wondered how they got me to buy them. Back then, it was full page ads, and it intrigued me because I had some post-purchase remorse, and the whole psychology of how they talked me into buying these intrigued me. And I started studying that, which brought me advertising, which brought me into psychology, which brought me into sociology. And it just continues to grow because it's a rabbit hole, like you were talking about.
Well, here's what I know, that there's a lot of people that listen to this show that do their own social media posts, write their own copy, do a lot of things. And you said, you said a bunch of things here. I mean, we could spend a couple hours just on 3 or 4 things you said, but you talked about the copywriting and starting to learn that back when you were 18 years old. How about a couple of tips for people who are trying to do their own copywriting? What draws an audience in? What helps you convert an audience from just looking at something to bringing, to that conversion piece?
Well, there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what makes a car go fast? And, it's that incredible engine underneath, and what's in that engine are 100,000 things, from springs, pistons, everything. So the simple answer is a headline draws them in, and it's going to be interest, ADIA. They attract it, they have a desire, they have an interest, and then it's going to be, your the copy is going to be filled with, just the easiest way to put it is, and this is in a book out there, I'm not making any of this up, I'm not original, but he called it a slippery slope. And if it doesn't slide, like Chutes and Ladders game, if it doesn't slide from the headline down to the close, then it's not a good ad. There can't be any bumps in the road. You can't cut them off. You can't say, yeah, call me back later. Wow. If you think about it overnight, and you can't say that kind of stuff. It has to go right to the close, and it has to be contiguous and run right through. I think the slippery slope is and it just means that it slides without obstruction to the close. If nobody ever thinks about it, nobody ever calls back and thinks about it, and especially, I'm talking about the direct response.
Yeah.
Relationship building is more institutional, they call it. And that institutional style takes deep pockets to constantly stay in front of your audience with paid advertising. If you're on social media now and you're doing it all yourself, time is money, and you have to spend your time writing the ads up. I'm writing I probably have over 100, ads that I post all the time. I'm always trying to change it so it looks different, so people don't get sick of it. And I post in 100 different groups for commercial real estate, regular real estate, and my own groups. I have 6 groups right now. And the biggest is multifamily real estate on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Then the second one is commercial real estate. Those are the end tags after groups /. And then I just think, where you lack in money, you have to pick up in muscle. you have to do it. Get your guerrilla marketing. You have to get your hands dirty. But as far as the writing the ad, simple, to the point, interest. Does it, I only want to address people that have interest. So I'm just going to put, the number one attraction. What would somebody be attracted to with, multifamily? If that was your title, you're going to attract everybody with multifamily.
Right. You talk about keeping it simple, right to the point. And I tell this story about when I was the first multifamily deal I bought, I put under contract, and then I go, oh, now I have to go raise money. How am I going to do this? I put an ad in the newspaper. So we've both dated ourselves on this call already, but I put that little ad in the newspaper that said, real estate investors wanted, and my phone rang off the hook for like 5 or 6 days. So sometimes it's just the simplest things that create that activity, or for people to come in and take a look. Conversion always seems to be an issue, but we can get into that later. Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are, your background, and what you're doing now, Kurt?
So my background starts with, I grew up near the beach. I grew up surfing. It was a great childhood, played Little League. I was pretty good. So I had fun. It's always funner when you're better. And, but, I got into, building homes early, 14 years old. I started working on the weekends, and in the summer, I started working in 5th grade. We had a boardwalk here. We had motels. I do remember, and this applies directly, that, I love the motel. I was like, I want to own one of these one day. I want to do this, but, I never did. But at the same token, I started working early. I was big for my age, so that, they wanted to hire me. If I was small for my age, they probably wouldn't, because they needed carriers, they needed luggers, and that's what I was. I would carry wood around. They'd start having me nail things off or whatever. I went to building trade school during high school, and for 3 years, and I became a mason. And I did that for 10 years. My back popped out, and I had one chiropractor who was honest with me, and I only saw him once, which is a spiritual axiom that occurs throughout life. There's these people that you never saw before. They pop into your life, they give you a truth, and then they leave, and you never see them again. And you're like, there are angels out there, and they come in all forms. But he said, you have to change your lifestyle. You're never going to do this work again. No matter how many times I adjust you, no matter how many doctors you go to, you're never going to do this kind of work again. Everything that you studied can be reallocated to another career, and it's going to be behind a pencil. It's like the only thing you're going to be pushing is a pencil. And,
no more wheelbarrows.
No more wheelbarrows full of concrete, right? So that changed a direction, and I went into working for an engineer, doing big construction. We did, a baseball stadium. We did a lot of big things right off the bat. And he said he was going to do bridges, and I was afraid of heights, and I'm not going to, walk on the scaffolding underneath of a bridge. And especially people that hate me, they don't like the inspector. And I had a friend that was a real estate appraiser, so I started appraising homes at that time, and I've been doing that for just under 20 years now. And I also, in the meantime, during that period of time, I've started several businesses. I've had over 100 websites that I've built for the PPC traffic, pay-per-click traffic through Google AdSense. So I always worked the equivalent of 2 jobs. I would work all day, travel time, and then I would always have something going. Oh, what do they call it now? A side
Hustle.
Side hustle. Yeah. But that was just a way of living because I played hard when I was a kid. I was in, rock bands. It was always trying to get a studio, trying to get a place to play, getting kicked out, the cops coming, all kinds of mayhem. And that was aside from your job. So I always had, I believed in 110%.
What'd you play? What instrument?
Well, I play guitar, bass, and vocals, and we did recording, and I was also kind of the motivational factor. There were a lot of people that didn't have the ADHD or the pent up energy that I had that were in the arena. And so to get people to do things, I would have to do them and say, get in. I would load up my truck. I would get the studio. I would, and then I would have to go to their house and drag them out of their basement and throw them in the truck and drag them to the studio and get them to play,
Sounds like being in the construction business, getting guys to show up for work when you're pouring concrete.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and that's a time sensitive issue there. Yeah. But, after that, so I had a lot of experience. I've started several, I would say, at least 50 different companies. And each time they would get more serious. It would start from when I was 18, I used Tony Robbins and Jay Abraham marketing to build up a window cleaning business. I'm near a peninsula on the Jersey Shore that a lot of seasonal rentals, and everybody wants their house to be as clean as possible. So I started a window cleaning business, and I built that up in about 2.5 years to, I would say I had it over, I'd say about 2,200 customers. And there was an attrition rate, and I would have to go back and revive them if they left, and they would get somebody else, and then I'd go back and resell them and bring them back in. But I did everything myself, and it got, again, it was seasonal, and it kind of got more in the way. If you're not going to do something full time, singleness of purpose is a big principle to kind of stay focused. I try to do that today. And, I'm working on 2 different projects here that are, the multifamily real estate, the supposedly, which is going to a membership website, which will be like a center hub for networking, communication, education in that industry, news. But the other...
Let's go there for a minute. So
okay.
What you're building is a place where people in the multifamily investment space can come and network, learn, grow, and get supply resources for them, right?
Resources. And one of the things, like if you're an investor, you're maybe a beginning investor, you're thinking investor, but that's just like one small portion of the total sum of all of the involvement in the multifamily marketplace, the arena. It's really a stadium. If you think about it, it's huge. There's appraiser. Well, I was working for a commercial appraiser, and we were appraising multifamilies and other commercial properties, but seeing, title surveyors, there's now, there's and I also got to do, when I was out in California, I lived in California for 3 years, and I was doing home inspections, but I saw reserve studies, and I'm like, what is that? And never heard of it before. And so I went and I applied and I got the job. And basically we were going to condominium complexes, and all of the components that are financially controlled by the association, we were going and tallying, and then putting a condition to rating to it. And then we were going to our cost guide, and kind of like cost seg, and basically determining the estimated remaining economic life of that property, and then saying, okay, in 5 years, that's going to be need to be replaced. Like the roof is an easier thing to judge, because once the granules start leaving, you know that the end of life is near, and you could say 3 to 5 years are left, and then you just measure it. You can do that online now with certain tools, and you can go to the book and say, what does 10 square of roofing material going to cost 30 year, and then you can add that to it, and that helps them to judge how much of the association fees that they need to save for that time period, and so they don't blow up the owners with special assessments.
Right.
But that was a very eye-opening. Unfortunately, back in New Jersey, most of the engineers have cornered that market, and they kind of block you out. Out in California, Florida, it's a little different to get into. But back to the point, with the website, there's so many people that, as an operator, you're going to need to get in touch with, from property management to attorneys that specialize in multifamily, because it is a different entity. It's a different animal to address. So getting all these people together in one place, from financing to professionals to operators, it definitely has to be, there has to be a place for it, otherwise you're searching, you don't know who's in the business. It's kind of like everything's hidden.
So it'll be an investor portal is what that'll be.
Well, that'll be one segment of it. What if you're a broker and you're looking for investors, you're looking for, I got it.
Are you ready to skyrocket your investment portfolio and leave a legacy? Are you tired of inconsistent returns received in the stock market? Then it's time you take a look at alternative investment options, like a passive investment in multifamily real estate. No tenants, trash, or toilets, just a solid return on an annual investment, including quarterly returns along the way. These lower risk and secure assets are also a great hedge against inflation. If you want to hear more about these types of opportunities, email me directly to schedule a 15-minute consultation to see if you qualify. You can email me at mike@mycoreintentions.com.
An investor, he needs a lender. And you're a broker and you don't have that relationship or the right one, you could go to multifamilyrealestate.com and see all of the lenders that specialize in this genre, and then you just have a dozen leads right at your fingertips to contact them right there. And the bigger picture isn't to and I know we're in a capitalist society, but everybody wants to make money on the front end and on the guy walking in the door. But I think as a industry resource, and the way I was brought up is to be a giver and to be of service. And so how I would structure a business, how I start a business. The first question: how can I be of service to the community and the individuals in that community? And then what are the individuals in that community? What do they need? what the needs and wants. That's a basic question.
Yeah. And now you're also working on an MLS, aren't you?
So that's a bigger, not to confuse the subject matter that we're talking on, but that's a bigger animal, and so an MLS, if you're looking at, so being a realtor, and an appraiser, I have to use the local MLS, and they do have commercial properties on there, but there's not a national one, and the national sites kind of are just listing sites. They're just classified websites.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the type of data that an actual MLS usually carries, which also has tools that can produce formats for that data, like CMAs, charts, things that you kind of need to help you evaluate and determine what a market's doing.
Sure, because we know in the multifamily space, we want to know about things like population growth, job growth, those traps, and if there's one place where you can go get that data, pull a map up, look at a property, do an aerial, get that data, that would make life really simple.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then you always take everything with a grain of salt. And, you always have to understand that there is a margin of error based on input of data. So you can't, put all your dozen eggs on a table. It could be missing a leg that you don't see, right? They fall off, they all get crashed. And and that's a caveat, a warning, right? To anybody who's using data from any source, that there could be, there's a missing element that could flaw the data. So always double check, triple check if you can.
Yeah.
Call the resource. If there's a broker's name or number on there, call them up, and then go and drive the area. Sometimes, and I attend a lot of webinars, and I read a lot, and sometimes you'll get some of the best information from the most unexpected sources.
Right.
Yeah,
I always tell people, I say, you got to get on the phone, call the police department, call the economic development department, call the fire department, ask the questions. It is that you can capture that data from some of the most abstract places from time to time. You made a comment though about checking and verifying. I'm an old carpenter, and I he taught me. He always used to say, "Measure twice, cut once."
Exactly.
And so that's that check and verify, right? So, Kurt, what's somewhere right now that somebody can go and get a feel for what you're doing out there?
Well, I mean, both websites right now have prototypes that I've been working on, and I'm a kind of, and like I told you before, I like to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. I like to prototype projects. I believe everything's a work in progress, to the point where, as a creative mind, as you like to, if you were making up an ad, and I've done some for other companies, I would make 6 things up, and I would show them all of them, and buy the one you want, but I'm going to tell you, what the psychology is behind everything. Not everybody wants to know that, but one of the things that, so they're both prototypes, as far as CRE MLS, Commercial Real Estate Multiple Listing Service.com. That would, right now there is actually it's a directory type website script that's running on there. some of the listings are from my own MLS that I'm a member of.
Okay.
And it was more for illustrative purposes for me to look at, because when I owned a window cleaning company, I would have to climb up 3 stories on a ladder. It would be semi-vertical. It would be over a concrete driveway. If I fell, I would be dead. It would be ugly. But I was young, dumb, and I would do it and say, one thing I realized was the higher you're up on the ladder, the more you see. I would see over the rooftops. I would see the bay. It would be incredible. And I'm like, wow, the view is much different from up here. And I was I don't know, a wannabe psychologist or whatever, William Penn or William Tell. And I would go, the more you see, the more you become able to see. The higher up I go, the more I see. And now I know it's the 10,000 foot view.
Right.
So when I create something, if I'm writing a song, I'm drawing a picture, I'm writing ads, I'm creating a website, I create the website, and then I play with it. And then I'm like, it would be good if it had this. It would be good if it had that. And I get ideas that I couldn't have had if I wasn't in it and playing in the sandbox like that, in that format. So right. I got another script. I'm just using Wix for right now for multifamily real estate, but by throwing ideas at the wall, seeing what sticks, what looks good, what doesn't, I'm getting an idea of what I need. Mm-hmm. And so I do have an operating system that I'm going to put into effect in the first of the year for that site. It's a membership site. There'll be free memberships, but it'll allow everybody to go in and create their own world within there. As far as if you had a book, you could sell it there. If you had blogs you wanted to put up, if you wanted to add your Zoom meeting, if you're running a Zoom meeting, you could air it inside of this script. It's definitely a community type area, which is the purpose of this, that everybody kind of intertwines and benefits from everybody's input.
And that is functional at this point, and people could go there and
well, they can go to the prototype. That script won't be running until after the new year.
Got it. Okay. So are you getting close to a launch?
Well, as far as that stuff, like I said, on multifamilyrealestate.com, that will be up in January, and the CREMLS.com is further away because there are different political, legal, and partnership type relationships that need to be solidified before that can come into fruition. It's a tougher bear to wrestle.
Yeah, a little bit longer road to hoe, right?
When I started, I was like, this could take a year, give or take, based on the turbulence that I run into. There could be some pushback. It really depends, because there are many different organizations that are involved in this business arena that do put up roadblocks. And one of the prototypes I'm looking at moving up to, because I might inch up in a sense. I have at startups.com, they do mentorship for startups.
Okay. And
a lot of great information, free videos that you can watch, and great ideas to grow small and grow slow. Especially like when you're looking for your crack, you're looking for they call it a niche, but it's kind of like a chink in the armor
Yeah.
of the industry. And, everybody's got, an Achilles heel or a chink in their armor, and you have to get through somehow, and you have to find it. And sometimes it's organic. Sometimes it finds you. If you're prepared, it's like preparation. Success is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a universal spirit that we don't always pay attention to, that sometimes steers us in the right direction when we're the most unaware of it.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I definitely am looking forward to this community coming together,
Me too.
where we can all exchange and grow and learn, because that's always, I think we all need it. I don't, I've been in the business 30 years and I still learn, right? Because there's always something new, especially with technology changing in that. So listen, as we start winding this down and ending, I always like to ask 3 questions of my guests. What's the best book you've ever read?
Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Other than the Holy Bible.
All right.
Let's focus on this at the time. And Think and Grow Rich, I read when I was 18.
Wow.
And I got it for $2 it was at a garage sale. And at that time, I've been working construction for a while. And, you get out of high school and you're like, now you're working 60 hours a week, digging ditches, carrying block, nail and swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, it's fun. It was fun because, like I said, I always had 110% energy for, a kid. And, but at the same time, you're like, is this all there's going to be? How am I getting out of this? Like, what's my next phase? And that, without a doubt, I mean, you have to read between the lines when you're reading that book. There's multiple. I'll read it 10 times and I'll still learn something again new.
Right.
So that's the best book for this.
Kind of one of those books you should read every year, right?
You should read it again and again. Yeah.
How about the best restaurant you've ever been to?
Well, we have a place on the Jersey Shore, and it's Mike's Atlantic Bar and Grill, and it's right on the beach. You're looking at the ocean, and it's pricey, but everything's relative. Whatever you have melts in your mouth. There's always a line a mile long. Reservations, you can't get in, they're only open for 5 hours, or whatever. Yeah. It's
One of those places. That's cool.
It's definitely posh, but it's definitely above anything else I've had.
Only open for 5 hours in the evening or in the,
well, they would open at like 4:00 and close at 10, but people would be there until midnight. But that was the window of opportunity that, it suited.
Yeah. Last one. How about best tourist attraction?
Well, I live at the Jersey Shore, and so I didn't travel a lot. Disney and all that stuff, it's okay, but I like epic views. And I drove across country a few years back. I went to live in California. And the window of opportunity opened up. I wasn't nailed down, and all the nails worked their way out. And I just got in my car and I drove. Yeah. Closed up everything, closed up shop. And I went across Texas, and it was a sight to behold. And then I hit the California mountains, and it was just like boom. And that was the coastline is epic views at night with the lights. It's just like it is in the movies. But then I came back to New Jersey with a whole new perspective, and perspective is everything. Your state of mind is everything. And I sat on the beach this summer, and it was excellent. So without a doubt, travel is the number one thing.
Yeah.
You got to travel. But I would go to the West Coast, go to the East Coast, go to the South, and check everything out, because it's so much different. Maine, Florida, 100% different. California, New Jersey, everything, is so different. But I'm partial to the Jersey Shore. It's
yeah, nice, awesome. I've never been there. Always wanted to check it out. Went to Atlantic City one time, but that was years and years ago.
That's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. But have to check it out. Kurt, how do people get a hold of you if they want to connect?
Right through the website, multifamilyrealestate.com.
Okay.
That goes directly to my email.
Perfect. So everybody, I would just encourage you to reach out to Kurt, find out a little bit more about his initiatives and how that can add value to what you're doing, or how you can add value to what Kurt's doing. So Kurt, I'm going to move you out. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And if you'd hang out with me in the back room for a minute.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. That was this week's episode of Multifamily Unplugged. Remember, we are here every week, Saturday morning. Have a guest on, talk about multifamily, talk about something that will help you benefit and grow your business. And that's what we did with Kurt this morning. He's building a couple of communities that you're going to be able to go to and benefit from, exchange ideas, network, grow, get resources. And that's what we all look for in this business, right? So whatever you can do, keep an eye on him, reach out to him, see how he can help. And if you are new to the show, please like and love us. Go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We try to bring you relevant content every week and throughout the week. So watch those tips and that come up. If I can do anything for anybody, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always email me direct. If you're looking for some goal setting and planning guidelines and ideas, you can reach out, grab my 2023 goal setting and planning guide. I look forward to seeing everybody next week.